Meanwhile, President Trump talked about the impeachment inquiry at his rally last night in Louisiana, using some of his harshest language yet.
Now, corrupt politicians, Nancy Pelosi and shifty Adam Schiff, and the crooked media have launched the deranged, delusional, destructive, and hyper-partisan impeachment witch hunt. These people are bad people, and it's so bad what they do to our country. They rip the guts out of a country, and it's a shame, and they shouldn't be allowed to do it, and people should stop.
Louisiana Senator John Kennedy joined the president in taking aim at Democrats. He started at the top with Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi.
Speaker Nancy Pelosi is trying to impeach him. I don't mean any disrespect, but it must suck to be that dumb.
With me now, two syndicated radio hosts, Leslie Marshall and Lars Larson. Leslie, also a Fox News contributor. Lars, that was salty.
Yes. I love John Kennedy. He's a great man, and he's absolutely right. Americans ought to know this whole thing is a giant joke, Harris. I mean, after all, how many more witnesses are we going to hear like Taylor, who didn't hear it firsthand or second? He actually heard it third hand at best. I mean, I heard it from a guy who heard it from a guy who heard it from somebody else.
Calling the speaker
kind of testimony.
dumb, Lars?
Well,
I mean, the language.
I would join him in that, actually.
Leslie?
Oh, what a tangled web we weave. In addition to my finding it to be sexist, I find it to be unprofessional. The name calling, whether it's from the left to the right or the right to the left, just brings down and lowers the bar of decency in our nation. And for our elected officials, for a senator to call the House Speaker dumb because he doesn't agree with something she's doing, it is the constitutional responsibility of the Congress, which she is the Speaker of the House, and their responsibility, and her responsibility specifically as Speaker, if this investigation finds that the evidence leads in that direction, to put this to a vote for impeachment. That is her job. That isn't a question of her level of intelligence, and it blows my mind. In addition, the word dumb doesn't really mean dumb or
Lars?
stupid. But to pass around these words,
listen,
it's childish. I don't let my kids say dumb, and I don't let my kids say suck.
Leslie,
I should wash the senator's mouth out with soap.
When people do dumb things, they should be called out. And it's not sexist. I know dumb men and I know dumb women, and I probably will meet some dumb people with pronoun names, too. It's not a sexist term. And the fact is, Nancy Pelosi 6 weeks ago was telling us, I have what it takes to impeach the president. And now we're saying we're investigating to find out if there's anything there that justifies impeachment. And the more we learn about it, about Eric Ciaramella and his attorney who said the coup begins now, and the fact that we're hearing things second and third and fourth hand, and folks saying why Donald Trump was about to undercut the foreign policy of the United States. The president of the United States makes the foreign policy of the United States.
So this conversation devolved to we don't put down people who use different pronouns on this network, on this show especially. Leslie, I'll give you the last word. We'll move on.
Oh, I would just say that I feel that our nation needs, and our politicians, our leaders need to get back to have some level of professionalism. Name calling is unnecessary. If you disagree with someone's policies,
do you think this is where we're going,
there's a more polite way to discuss it. It's sad, but I think it is. It becomes, Harris, you're a parent as well. I think it becomes hard when we as adults don't set the example for our children and for our future. And I have to say I'm fearful of that in the future.
It's happening all over the place. I remember when the DNC head was cussing, and it's there. I want to bring you guys back, though, later this hour. Thank you. Sit tight. Two high-profile billionaires taking on one of Elizabeth Warren's far-left proposals. Microsoft's Bill Gates says he might pay too much under Warren's wealth tax, and that she might not even want to talk to him.
I've paid over $10 billion in taxes. I paid more than anyone in taxes. If I'd had to pay $20 billion, it's fine. But you know, when you say I should pay $100 billion, okay, then I'm starting to do a little math about what I have left over.
However, Warren tweeted this in response to Bill Gates. I'm always happy to meet with people, even if we have different views, Bill Gates. If we get the chance, I'd love to explain exactly how much you'd pay under my wealth tax. I promise it's not $100 billion. Meanwhile, JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon went after Warren's anti-Wall Street rhetoric. Watch.
She uses some pretty harsh words. Some would say vilifies successful people. So I don't like vilifying anybody. I think we should applaud successful people.
Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez responded in a tweet, "Y'all, the billionaires are asking for a safe space, in addition to the entire U.S. economy and political lobbying industry." Power panel back now. Leslie Marshall, syndicated radio host, Fox News contributor, Lars, syndicated radio host as well. Lars Larson, you're up first. Your reaction.
Well, my reaction is that Senator Warren doesn't want to be honest and admit that her plan is going to require the taxing of the middle class. Even Bernie Sanders, Senator Sanders, is being honest about that. And let's do the math on this. There are about 2,100 billionaires in the United States, which is extraordinary. It shows the success of our country. Their collective wealth is about $8.9 trillion. So if you took every single dime of every bit of wealth of every single billionaire in the United States, it wouldn't even pay for 1/2 of Senator Warren's plan. So what she should admit is, I'm going to have to tax the middle class. But she realizes that's a non-starter with voters, and that's why she doesn't want to do it.
So, Lars, I'm going to double down with you. Leslie, be patient, please. Should she actually meet with Bill Gates? Because I got to tell you, the surge has stopped in the polling for Elizabeth Warren. We've been talking about it for, days now and earlier on the show. So does she take that risk and sit down with somebody who might be able to school her on what the taxes are going to look like?
Well, far be it from me to give campaign advice to Senator Warren, but if she did it, it would certainly draw a lot of attention, and maybe Bill Gates could explain the numbers to her. And the last person I would consult for the numbers is AOC. She has a problem with numbers.
Leslie, when Elizabeth Warren finally came out with what she had been promising, and that was how, because she got hit in that last Democratic debate, how are you going to pay for all of this? It doesn't seem to have helped her with voters. But now she's rubbing up against the people who normally support this sort of thing.
Well, I have to say, Bill Gates is among many millionaires. Patriotic Millionaires is another organization.
He's a billionaire.
Who are in favor of taxing. Yes, who are in favor of taxing the rich. However, this wealth tax, this goes a step further. Bill Gates is one of, if not the most philanthropic person in the world. So he's certainly a person that not just pays taxes, but gives a lot of his wealth. Income inequality is a big issue on both sides of the aisle. But the problem Elizabeth Warren is facing, and you're right, Harris, the surge has stopped. We are seeing her numbers coming down, and I think that's because, one, she's not being accurate with how it's going to be paid for, or be able to answer that. And two, she is also getting people on both Wall Street and Silicon Valley angry, and they need that support. Whoever's going to be the Democratic nominee is going to need support both from Wall Street and from Silicon Valley.
It's interesting what you say, and I don't know if you saw a few moments ago on the program, the very liberal publication of The Nation writing about pushing against Joe Biden, saying that Sanders and Warren would be better as candidates. What do you think about that, Leslie?
Look, they're better as candidates for the Democrats, but this is a 50-state election in the general election. This is not just about Democrats. This is about independents. This is about Republicans who are unhappy with the president and what's come of their party. This is about swing state voters. And as Speaker Pelosi has said, as I have said and written on many occasions, this is not where the country is headed. I have said I fear that if Elizabeth Warren is the nominee, she won't be able to appeal to those voters.
And so, to see this sort of food fight over what costs what, does this help Republicans, Lars?
It does help Republicans because you framed it up well. Joe Biden is probably odds on the best chance to go up against Donald Trump. I still think he'd lose, but Warren and Sanders and that bunch, the far left part of the Democratic Party loves those ideas. The problem is the ideas, as Leslie said, and I'm forced to agree with my friend Leslie Marshall, the general electorate is not going to agree with the far left wing of the Democratic Party. If they nominate Sanders or Warren instead of Biden, they diminish their chances severely of going up against Donald Trump.
Lars, great to see you. Leslie, you as well.
Nice to see you as well.
Thank you both.